Be strong.
Three, two, one.
Well done. You
Go.
can count.
I wasn't holding it the right number of fingers, I don't think, when I was doing that.
Dear.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm looking out of a darkening window currently.
I know, the nights are certainly getting...
Dark?
Well, I was going to say the nights are drawing in. Is that what you say?
Yes, that's right.
But like about 3 o'clock. Oh, I don't know if anybody knows where the phrase nights are drawing in. Don't know. Is it something about drawing the fire?
Curtains.
Oh, could be. Or making the fire draw because it's getting cold at night. Anyway.
Anyway, we digress.
This is not the subject of this week's podcast. Viewers, listeners, you'll be pleased to hear. How has your week been anyway?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been and it's gone. It's been very good. I've actually worked, so that's been quite nice.
Well done, you.
I know.
Very proud of you. I've been on holiday this week.
I know, I've noticed. My chat box has been very quiet.
I know, and I've had a social media blackout, so I've been doing no social media whatsoever.
How have you found that?
Well, I was a bit twitchy for the first few days. I'd missed massive FOMO about not seeing what's going on in the world. But yeah, it's all right. I think it's quite good to do because I am quite on social media a lot.
I'd not noticed.
So therefore, it does become a little bit obsessive. So it's quite a good thing to do. Listeners, we should have put that in the typically topical top tips section. I'm even now saying that in the jingle kind of phrasing, just because it's musical, darling.
Musical, darling.
Yes. So yes, it has been good. So I'd recommend it for anybody. Just have a bit of a breather sometimes from it. It's very good to do.
Yeah, it is. I think, like you just said, it's quite hard to start with, isn't it? But I think it is a good thing to do.
So this week,
musical.
We're going to the musicals. Oh, a bit of vibrato there.
Get you. At least yours was slightly in tune.
So I think we decided that we would do something a bit lighter this week. So last week was an informative week, and we'll talk later about what we're going to do next week. But we decided we would like something a little lighter.
Yeah, and coming to the end of lockdown.
Well, we're not though, are we? We're not actually. We're going into the next phase of a different tiering system. Anyway, that's all we're going to say on that subject. Moving on. So we're going to talk about musicals, and we've had some interaction from some of you who we will mention a little later. Thank you. Yes. Always nice to hear from our fans. There will be lots of links to kind of fans and being famous.
Anyway. I've also
bit of jazz hands.
Someone. Jazz hands. Stella. So I've interviewed. Unfortunately, he couldn't come on the talk. He would have liked to have done. No, I think he would have done, but it was just he's still at university, so probably best to do his studies.
Yeah, I think he's prioritised it. That's perfectly acceptable.
It's probably for the best.
So,
Johnson facts. Water. Oh, get a bit of water. Shall I tell you a little bit of history on the musicale? Because I thought it's always.
You've been doing some factoiding, haven't you?
I'm factoiding. I get me or doing my homework. I feel very like a good girl.
Well done. I'll mark it later.
Oh, thanks. Obviously A star. Well, I just thought actually I assume that musicals have been around forever and ever because as far as my life has been concerned, they've always been there or thereabouts.
And to be fair, you're pretty old, so that's
not
quite a while.
Not you, so that's okay.
This is also true.
So the history of the musicals, are we sitting comfortably?
We are. I'm really looking forward to this.
You're such a liar. Anyway, so the musical started with the operetta. Gilbert and Sullivan. So the 1870s and 80s is when it sort of really kicked off. I think there were a few things before that, but that's when it really took off.
Oh, I love a Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yeah, and my dad used to do Gilbert and Sullivan, and when my mum started going out with him, at one point she had people commenting to her because he was in the Pirates of Penzance.
I was just thinking Pirates of Penzance.
Yeah, Pirates of Penzance. HMS Pinafore and Mikado. My friend Katie was in the Mikado. I went to see that. That's the best one.
I auditioned for the Hot Mikado, which is a rock opera version of the Mikado.
It is up one.
It really is. It's a Sondheim musical, and if you are familiar with Sondheim's music, it is about clashing keys and tunes and rhythms, and it was the hardest. I didn't get a part. I think I was offered the part of standing soldier in scene 3 or something. So I was like, oh no, I don't want that. So yeah, I like that they're quite jaunty and jolly, aren't they?
They are, yeah. And my dad quite often will bring out a few lines from the
Pirates of Penzance.
But whenever I hear Pirates of Penzance, it makes me think of Pretty Woman, where she goes to see it and she goes, I nearly peed my pants. I beg your pardon. Well, I liked it as much as Pirates of Penzance.
It was so good, I nearly peed my pants.
It's a classic line, isn't it? That is
weird. I was thinking the same thing. We're so in tune.
Oh, so in tune, so in tune. Anyway, so the light operetta then led to the musical, in inverted commas, which was the 20th century, which had people like Rodgers and Hammerstein. I'd hate to upset them. And they did Oklahoma, Sound of Music, and then you've got Bernstein and Sondheim who did West Side Story, and then obviously Mr. Webber.
Who?
And is he a Lord Webber?
Lord Webber, yeah.
I think it's Lord Webber. Yeah. So obviously he did Phantom and
many more.
And then obviously got Les Mis. So that section there is sort of the main 20th century.
So Rodgers and Hammerstein would have been things like The King and I.
Yes. So then it leads to films, because obviously the films then come from the theatre productions, and that's where Rodgers and Hammerstein really took.
You're struggling with that, aren't you?
I really struggled to say Rodgers and Hammerstein.
That's
really,
well done.
they really took off. So they did Sound of Music, 1959. That was.
Is that Rodgers and Hammerstein?
Yeah, Rodgers and Hammerstein.
Wow.
And the King and I.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, I love that. Bit of Yul Brynner in the film, I like him, and then Carousel they did as well. So that's all Rodgers and Hammerstein.
No, isn't there a song from Carousel? He says, trying to Google really quickly. But it's like really.
And there's lots of songs. It's a musical. I don't know if the clues in the title of what we're talking about today. You thinking of any particular?
No. Don't be facetious. I was thinking there's
big words.
There's a real. Oh, June is busting out all over is from Carousel. Do you know that one?
I don't think so. Sing it.
June is busting out all over. That's all I'm going to do.
I still don't know.
That wasn't the one I was thinking of, actually. You'll Never Walk Alone. That's not from there, is it? It's not the one, is it?
I don't know. Problem is, if we play it, we'll probably end up getting charged money or something for it.
Oh yeah, other musicals are available. I haven't said that for at least a week.
2 minutes. And then you got Oliver Twist was the other big, massive film.
Because there was quite a lot of musical, like theatre shows that were then made into films, especially in that kind of
real era of them, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Fair Lady. Oh, love that film. That's what I was singing along to myself earlier. I told myself I was doing research, so I put all the musical themes.
You got lost in a theatre playlist, loving, did you?
I did. And luckily I'm upstairs and I sang my little heart out. Nobody could complain about the noise, so it was lovely.
So
and then it went to rock musicals. So you got Hair in 1968 and Godspell in 1970. They were a little bit more raunchy.
A little bit more raunchy. People took the clothes off quite a lot then, didn't they? I think in the theatre. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
so I'm told.
I don't know what the difference was. Have you not seen Hair?
No.
So in the sixth form we went to see Hair. That was a surprise.
Oh. Is it some sort of educational class?
Stage full of baby. That, to be fair, they do it really well because it's just before the interval. So suddenly they're naked, and then the screens have shut. So it's almost like you go, oh, they're naked, and it's shut.
Oh,
so you don't. It's not long enough to go, oh, look at that.
Anyway, moving on.
Just informing you if you're going to go and see it and you're frightened.
No, I don't. No, I don't think I will now. No.
And then you've got your rock operas, which is Jesus Christ Superstar, which obviously you know all about being Jesus.
I do know about having played the part of Jesus. Yes, I do.
With your loincloth. And
wasn't pretty for anybody.
Oh. So that's
it's not easy to die, on stage. I mean, you can literally die because you're so bad.
I mean,
but actually to actually pretend to die on a cross, it's not the easiest thing, It's absolutely, you need a lot of preparation for it. I won't talk about it. I mean, I do like to talk about it, but I'm not going to talk about it in this because it's not about that. But I had this fake
it's
blood.
About musicals. It was a musical.
I was on the cross in my loincloth, and they put this fake blood as I went on stage in my hair that kind of, as they put the crown of thorns on it, then started to bleed down my face.
Cool.
And as they did it, it all went in my eyes, and I had my contact lens.
Oh no!
And my contact lenses just soaked up all this fake blood.
Red.
Yeah. So all I could see was when I'd finished dying and gone off stage, walked off afterwards, the curtains had shut. All I could see was I'd got literally rose tinted spectacles on. Yeah. And then I couldn't get them off my eye because they'd anyway.
Oh.
So be careful with fake blood, folks, when you're on stage, because it can affect your eyes.
It can affect your eyes.
That's
That's my little lowdown of history of music.
Well, so what would you say your first recollections are? Because we both love the theatre, don't we?
We love the theatre.
We love.
I don't know if anybody would have guessed that. Really.
We both have loved being part of it and in it.
Yeah.
But we also love to go and watch and just get swept up by it all, don't we? Really,
I think my first theatre musical type of experience would be the pantomime. So we used to
I'm not going to do it.
You did.
Oh no, it wasn't.
Oh yes, it was. And people would be disappointed if we hadn't done it.
People, I'm so sorry. It's not good quality.
But we used to go. So my nana's brother, Uncle Arthur, used to be the drummer in the theatre. So when we used to go to see the pantomime, we used to sit with Mum or Nana for the first half. And then for the second half, we would go down in the interval, speak to Uncle Arthur. And then if we were brave enough, we could sit with him in the bandstand. And then you were right up close and you could see everybody. And then you get pulled up on the stage.
Was it in a pit, or was it just covered off with a bit
just covered off
with a bit of cheap velour curtain?
Yes, yeah. But it was the best. It's one of the things that really sticks in my mind as being a good thing that we used to do. And Uncle Arthur used to get you to try and play the drums. Obviously, couldn't do that because I've got the coordination of a sparrow. But it was just a really good experience. So that was my first thing. And then we used to have playing in the car all the time the soundtrack to Joseph, which
classic.
Oh, just love Joseph. And then Jason Donovan was in it. Hello.
Are you a Jason Donovan fan? I didn't know this much.
So much.
Don't ever ask her, folks. Don't ever ask her.
And the best thing was a couple of years ago, Emma and I, my cousin, went to see Jason Donovan as Pharaoh in Jesus.
Oh, okay.
Because I'd said to my mum and dad when Joseph was on and Jason was in it, we couldn't really go. It wasn't something that was, theatre was definitely something that was less attainable, wasn't it?
I think it was. West End shows was like a massive luxury. I mean, it is still.
I think it still is, but
I always feel like it's a really special thing to go to the theatre in the West End.
Yeah, it is. But so I remember when Jason finished his stint, going, "I'll never see him in Joseph," and being really upset about it. And then Emma said, "He's on. Do you want to go and see him?" So I got to see him. I mean, as Pharaoh, but that was fine.
So my experience of Joseph was I went to see Lee Mead after he'd just won. I went the first week that he was in it after doing the BBC show, and sat in row 2. I thought I'd literally made it in life because
sat on his lap.
I mean, I love a star. I love a celebrity. I get very excited. Yes. Did you not know this? But also my first experience was pantomime. So to go to the pantomime when we were growing up was a real treat. In the Guildhall in Axminster, where I grew up. And because we didn't have a lot of money when we were growing up, it was that was the night out of the year that we would go and see whatever the pantomime was. And I thought it was raucous, hilarious, silly, fun. And I think that's where I learned all the old songs. I mean, all the old songs from Old Time Music Hall and that you and I then actually had to sing. We did Old Time Music Hall, didn't we?
Duet.
Yes, we did. But those are the songs that I grew up with and the songs that my parents knew, and songs from Oklahoma or from The Sound of Music, and they were just all these fantastic
sprinkled in, weren't they?
And then you could go up on stage, and the dame would make fun of all the children, and you'd all sing Bibbity Bobbity Boo or something from all that sort of. It was amazing.
Yeah. I think it's really valuable. I think that is one of the shame. That's not really making sense, but you know what I mean. That's the sad thing now of the lockdown is they're trying to work out how they can put pantomimes on for kids in these circumstances. I think there's some being shown online. I think that's what they're trying to do. Yes. But I think you missed I think, like you said, it's the atmosphere of it, isn't it? The theatre.
We always used to go and sit in the like the circle. I thought we were like posh people sitting up in the guild. I know.
That's true.
And get an ice cream.
Like that, no. Oh, it was the ice cream in a little tub with your little spoon. That's what we used to.
That was usually
for round food.
That was like very, very overpriced.
Yeah, that's it.
I used to say to my mum, why is it that this ice cream we can buy in the shop for 20p and here it's like £4.90 and that's like in 1980 or something? But I think that's probably then where we grew up with it, didn't we? And
yeah, I think so. And obviously Dad had been on the stage, so it was something that they used to like. So that type of thing. My dad was Sinbad, and apparently, hopefully I'm telling the story right, but my mum used to have girls would be mean to her because she was going out with Sinbad, and the little girls fancied Sinbad.
Oh dear, how times have changed.
I know.
It's what you look like on Instagram now, not when you went out with Sinbad of a weekend.
I know. I think I'd rather go out with Sinbad. But so what's your favourite musical that you've ever been to see?
Oh my goodness. Oh, it's so difficult. I am a Les Mis lover. I have been to see it 5 times.
Oh, wow.
But we were chatting about this earlier. It very much depends on. I think a lot of these, you see them once and they're amazing.
Yeah.
I think then if you go and see them, you always compare it to the first one that you saw and who was in it. And if there's somebody famous in it, I think that just adds another level of excitement when you go. But Les Mis is very much one of those. It's quite long.
I think Les Mis is one that has a lot of dedicated, loyal people there.
So dramatic. Yeah.
My friend Alison, she loves Les Mis. Emma and Phil, they love Les Mis.
But I kind of turn into this
again and again.
I turn into this musical theatre critic. Like I kind of that doesn't normally happen when they do that bit, or the person that did that in 2 years ago, they're saying it much better than that. So you become a bit of a musical snob if you're not going. So I love that. Wicked is brilliant. So Les Mis is all about the French Revolution, and it's quite dark, but it's like really gutsy and then Wicked.
I liked the cinema version of Les Mis.
And then Wicked is almost like the prequel to The Wizard of Oz. So it's linked to the Wizard of Oz story and Glenda the Good Witch and so on and so forth. There's some amazing songs in that. That one's been very, very popular.
Well, Emily messaged us about that one, didn't she?
Yes, she did.
Saying that was her favourite musical.
Yeah.
And favourite songs. I think Emily made a good point, and I've asked her permission if I can say about it. But she was saying that when she went through a life change, she decided that she was going to read more books and watch musicals. Knowing Emily, she reads a lot of books. She's amazing at reading books. But the fact that she likes musicals as well, and how much she says, honestly say that both of them have brought her so much joy, and she's had a huge impact on her, and that she's so glad that she made that conscious choice to pursue them, and that her favourite musical is Wicked, which she's seen 3 times. But like you just said, it's the telling of a backstory, traditionally hated character, and how we just need to see people from a different viewpoint. So I think there's a lot of life lessons in musicals that you can sort of absorb and then think about afterwards, not necessarily when you're in it and enjoying it, but like afterwards.
So Gemma, who contacted us, said that Miss Saigon was one of her favourites, and I must admit that would be on. I can't possibly say I have one because it's so good.
Miss Saigon's the first one I saw at the theatre.
Was it?
Yeah, and I thought it was going to see an opera, so that was a bit of a shocker. Sixth form, and we went up to London. It was all exciting, and I remember sitting next to Katie, and we were gonna watch it, and I really thought it was an opera. And then,
but that was
these half-naked ladies came on singing, so it wasn't.
There seems to be a bit of a theme of you going to the theatre with people taking their clothes off. I don't know whether we should be worried about that, but when you were saying about this life lessons, I think Miss Saigon is one about an American GI who's part of the Vietnam War, and he falls in love with this girl who everybody thinks he shouldn't, and he's got a wife at home and they have a child, and it's all very dramatic, and oh my goodness me. But yes, that doesn't happen every day, but there's the good characters, and there's the characters that and you kind of draw from your own experiences and get, well, I do anyway, I get really drawn into the whole thing, and then usually end up sobbing at all the
I know it just, bits. I think that's for me. I think they just going to the musical more than the theatre. I like going to the theatre, but the musicals sort of touch something inside me that makes me really engage emotionally. I would see Something About Jamie, not knowing any of the songs about that one, and that's, to me, that was, I just loved that.
So that's probably one that not everybody will know about. So what's the
to recap it now, aren't you? So it's about a young lad at school up north, and it's based on a true story, which I remember watching the Channel 4 documentary. But he decides that he wants to go to prom in drag.
Yes,
and how he has to overcome the prejudices in school and at home, problems, his dad doesn't approve, and how he has to acknowledge his friendships. He makes friends with a couple of drag queens and they help him. It's a really, parts of it are uncomfortable where he's being bullied, and that made me, that obviously I don't like that, having experienced it, it's a bit of an issue for me, but it was a really nice story. And I think having a son also, sort of like when people were being mean to him, I'm like, oh, I don't like it. But it was really good, and some of the songs in there were brilliant. Not knowing them, I think that's always a good tell as well. If you go to a musical, you don't really know the music, and then you come away going, oh, I love that was great.
And that one has been has had so many awards and has been held up as being absolutely fantastic. We were talking about this earlier, there's another one which I saw in Plymouth called Kinky Boots, which is again based on a true story about this struggling family shoe business, and they're really struggling to keep with the times, and a chance meeting of a drag queen who helps support this business, and they start making shoes for drag queens, bigger sized boots, and the business absolutely takes off based on a true story. So I think I agree. I think there's a lot of positivity to be taken from some of these shows. Sharon, so I'm trying to mention the people that have contacted us, and it's really lovely that we put a message out on Facebook and people have contacted us. So Sharon said she liked Phantom, is one of her favourites. Again, there's another story, a bit like Beauty and the Beast, or
the White Lady or something, isn't it?
The White Woman, is it? Oh, I don't know.
Maybe.
But again, a disfigured man who is an outcast of society, and she falls in love with him, and it's magical, and they go along on a boat. I was fascinated by that boat on stage.
Like, but Miss Saigon's got a helicopter.
Where's the water? And then Amanda, who we'll talk about Amanda a little bit later, but she also loves Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which is a raucous, fantastic.
Shall I tell you a story about Priscilla, Queen of the Desert?
Yeah, go on.
Jason Donovan again was appearing in that. And
Well,
my friend said he'd take. My friend said he'd take
Jason
me.
Jason Donovan.
He didn't take me.
How dare you shame me on a podcast? Some sort of friend you are.
I've been holding on to that all day. I was thinking, right, I'll pull that one out.
She kept. Listeners, earlier she was saying, "Oh, I can't tell you that. I'll tell you that on the podcast. Oh, I can't ask you that. I'll ask you that on the podcast." She wanted to shame me publicly.
But we're going to go to some of it. When lockdown finishes, we're going to fix that, aren't we? We're going to go see that.
Well, that's what you think. I was, but not anymore.
So just go on.
So Amanda, Priscilla, Chicago, another great.
Oh yeah, see, I didn't really like Chicago when I went to see it.
Isn't it funny how we do that because both love theatre? Oh no, I didn't like. Oh yeah, Chicago's quite. That was a brilliant film. Richard Gere was in it. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Renée Zellweger.
I think that's my problem is that if I've seen the film and I like the film and then seen the theatre, it doesn't really brush up the same way. So like with Les Mis, I dragged Andrew to see Les Mis
at the cinema.
At the theatre.
At the theatre.
I'd already watched the film probably about 5 times by that point. And I found that I was having to explain because I knew he wasn't really enjoying it. It then meant that I didn't enjoy it. So now my memory of Les Mis is that I didn't enjoy it.
It's epic. I mean, it goes on forever.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was really good. Anyway, so just a quick one. So I spoke to, our listener Emma is mummy to Lucas and Julia is his granny. So Lucas is my cousin, something or other removed. Anyway, he's lovely and I love him. So he goes to Italia Conti. So I thought, well, seeing as we were talking about musicals, Julia suggested we contact him. He's probably travelling on a bus right now, so he can't come on to talk to us. However, I did ask him a couple of questions, and I thought taking it from somebody who's slightly younger than us opinion and is currently studying it, it's just interesting to ask him a couple of questions. So I asked him what he loves about the musicals. So he loves the ability to convey such emotion through songs and not only through a spoken word, which I kind of think is what we were saying, isn't it? It's that emotion sort of comes across a lot better. And I asked him how studying at Italia Conti made him look at a musical. And if anybody doesn't know, Italia Conti is one of the top theatre schools going around. So when you go to the theatre and you look in your magazines and it tells you where there'll always be Italia Conti people in there. So Emma's a very proud mummy, as she should be. So he's put being at the school's given him a bigger appreciation for the intricacies of the musical.
Blimey, that was a bit of a mouthful, that sentence.
It was, I know. Like the importance of swings for a larger ensemble, and also ensuring he makes himself versatile as a performer has been quite refreshing for him. So he's had to try new things as well as strengthening what he's comfortable at. So obviously I hadn't really thought about that, but Lucas plays guitar, he sings, but actually I'm not sure I've ever seen him dancing. So he's had to learn those different elements than he had before,
which makes him a more rounded performer.
Yeah, which then when he goes on to get a job, he'll be more desirable, won't he? His favourite musical is Dear Evan Hansen, which I haven't seen, but he likes the part of Evan and the songs. Do we know what that's about? Bible selling, I think, is the clip of. If anybody's on Facebook, Julia, his granny, has posted a little video of him singing in there, and he's selling Bibles, so I think it's something to do that. But I can Google it. And then I asked him what his favourite performances that he's been in. And interestingly, it's not one, again, that I've heard of, so we'd have to Google it, people, to find out. But his favourite musical that he played J.M. Barrie in was Finding Neverland. And it's a story about getting inspiration for Peter Pan and Neverland. A lovely story and a brilliant score written by Gary Barlow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, so now I'm like, that's got to go on my list of things to watch. I think we need to, have a good list of things to see.
We do. I'm just Googling as we're talking.
Google.
Evan Hansen is a teenager with social anxiety. So his therapist, Dr. Sherman, recommends that he writes letters to himself detailing what will be good about each day.
Oh, there you go.
So
sounds good.
So it's kind of a school. Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Sounds a really, lots of depth to it.
And there's so many.
I can't read everything.
Around, isn't there?
Yeah,
so many bits to it. So lockdown, we could do our tedious top links.
Well,
I don't think I mean tedious, do I?
I was going to ask you tedious. I was going to ask you if there was one musical that you just didn't like, or one that wasn't your favourite at all.
Well, there is, and then I felt guilty when I was saying it, but it's Bat Out of Hell.
Oh, okay. Why did you feel guilty?
Because the poor people, they've put all their effort into it. And
well, you don't have to like it.
But
you're not saying they're horrible people.
I know, but I kind of felt they've wasted their
Agreed.
effort. It just didn't. Music. It just didn't work. No, and we saw it. Yeah, when we went to see it, we didn't realise, but we went to see like one of the last showings of it. But all three of us. So, you know, Mr. Theatre is not really Mr. Theatre. Andrew didn't really get it. Sebastian's quite likes a theatre show, but yeah, all three of us left going, oh, we could have gone to cinema, couldn't we? So it was one of those, which was sad, really. But because I like the music, Meatloaf music, but yeah, it was just something not quite right on it. It was something missing.
I think mine would. Oh, don't shout at me. I Grease on stage. Just I think because I love the film in its original.
If you've seen it in film,
it just didn't. I just didn't get it.
No,
and I think it was. I think Shane Ritchie was in it. I'm sure he's a very lovely person, but no, didn't work for me at all. Shane Ritchie and
something about Jamie when I went to see that.
Oh, okay. And the 80s star Sonia was also in it.
With their fig leaves.
I don't
know that.
Will you stop talking about nudity?
Oh, I'm talking about Sunita, not Sonia. They're very similar people.
I think they were slightly bigger than fig leaves that Sunita wore on the X Factor that one.
Oh, dear.
Anyway.
So our top tips. So top tips are to go and see the theatre, obviously in lockdown, is a little bit challenging. But what I have found is on YouTube, it's called The Show Must Go On, and they've had showings of different shows during lockdown. So they've advertised it and things like that. So yeah, so if you wanted to
what's that called? The Show Must Go On?
The Show Must Go On. So every so often they release them onto YouTube. So that's quite a good one to follow. And then I think sometimes you can see some of the musicals on YouTube. Hamilton was on Disney. So that was I'd never seen Hamilton. I now love Hamilton. Not what I expected. So that was good. So they are around, and I know it's not, we've talked about the atmosphere of going to the theatre and the excitement and things, but in these times when you can't, it's a really good opportunity. I've seen quite a few musicals that I wouldn't normally have seen. The Wind in the Willows, I've never seen that before. That had Rufus Hound in it. That was really good. Hamilton, Jesus Christ Superstar, the big theatre production.
The rock opera version that they did.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was good, yeah. So that's my top tip, is to have a look on YouTube and see if you can watch someone there. Or if you've got the Disney Channel, watch Hamilton.
Oh, a good typically topical theatre top tip.
Aha! There you go. And what's yours?
Well, I've got one tip and then one thing to talk about. So my top tip is I generally buy my sweets and stuff before I go to the theatre. Because I really begrudge paying like £9.42 for toffee poppets or something. There's always things like toffee poppets. Or I do like a Revel.
Revels. But what's your favourite Revel?
I like the orange ones, if I'm honest.
Yes, my too.
Or the minstrelly ones.
Yeah, or the coffee ones. I quite like the coffee.
No, definitely not.
Together.
But buy a little thing of water and maybe some sweets, or pick a mix from the shop and then take them in with you. I know that's probably not how the theatre makes money, but I don't like being ripped off for things that don't cost so much money, especially when I've paid 50, 60, 90 pounds for a and we were having a bit of a giggle about what the etiquette is about when
somebody passed you.
Yes. So this is in the interval. Everybody's got up. They've all gone. You're sat in the end seat, and everybody's got a file past you. So you have that real judgment call about do I tip my seat up and move my knees to the side? I'm actually doing it now. If you're watching this video, you can see me moving. Or do you stand up completely? Or do you? I
stand up completely.
I tend to let my seat go up and sit on the top of the seat, so therefore I'm quite slim, and therefore people.
Oh, no, that that's why I do that.
Do you do that one?
I don't do the slim, but I put the seat up, sort of like hover on it.
But if you've got
hold my feet, hold my seat, hold all my bags and all my gubbins, try and hold all that back with my feet, and then they still have to skip over my feet. And then I also do the eye roll.
I do the eye roll if they don't say thank you.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
So if I've got up and I've, put my elbow in my ice cream and lost my coat and all my revels have gone on the floor for you to come past me, I don't mind, but you got to say thank you, otherwise I will remind you. So yeah, I always think it's quite amusing to see what movement people try and do in terms of the seat navigation issue. We're not doing the crab. Yeah.
Oh, anyway, so I think that's probably, we've come to the end of our time. I think
we haven't.
I think we've probably gone over by quite a lot, but hey,
we don't mind. We're all giving today about musicals. So please let us know what you think, and we'd love if you like our podcasts, and if this is the first or you're still with us right from the beginning. A, we love you. B, please do us a review on Facebook or Podchaser. The link.
Or share it on your page.
Share it on your page. Yeah, definitely. Or you can email us, Zoe, can't you?
Oh yes, we can. You're so funny. On AtoZee&back @gmail.com, or visit us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah, amazing. We are multi-platform.
Multi-platform.
And just very briefly, we have a guest next week. So Amanda is one of our listeners, and we're going to be talking mental health, but we're also going to be talking snacks next week. I know it's a weird conversation.
It's light-hearted with important information
and some real honesty. And what we're trying to do, as we always say, is balance these to give you information, but also to keep it light. And we hope that today we've made it light and shared with you our love of musicals. I need to stop talking because and we didn't sing a lot, so No,
but what we will do is in the notes we'll just put a list. I'm going to put a list of all the musicals that I've seen, and I'll put a link to the on
the Show Must Go On. Yeah, lovely. Well, so have a good week.
And you.
I mean, I'm saying that like I won't speak to you at all between now and then, but obviously I'll speak to you in a minute.
But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and watch a musical now. I'm going to go and watch Hamilton. Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll tell you all about that next week. Yeah. Have a great weekend, folks, and thanks for listening.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.